This video is sponsored by Wise, an amazing service that I'm using for my international money transfers. If you want to learn more about them, check out the special link in my description, or you can just keep watching this video. I'm gonna tell you more about them later. Hello, my frugal peeps. Today I am coming at you with some money-saving tips to use when you're visiting or living in Edinburgh. This whole idea actually came to me when I was doing stupid things on TikTok, and I posted a TikTok which went viral for some mysterious reason, where I was kind of making fun of the levels of rent here in Edinburgh, which is quite high. And a lot of people kind of missed that was mostly a joke and started giving me tips on how to save money and, you know, what are some good places or apps to use to save yourself some currency while you're living in Edinburgh. And I thought, if the joke didn't translate, the least I can do is at least take those tips and make a video out of them. Yay! Isn't that frugal already? So some of these will be mostly helpful to the ones of you who already live here, and some of these might be helpful even for you who are visiting for maybe a week or a month. So stay tuned, I'm sure some of these will be super practical to you specifically. Yeah, you. I'm gonna start with the millennial thing to mention, which is apps. Apps for everything, apps all the time. The first one is one that I had my eyes on for a long time, which is Too Good To Go. And you've probably heard of them before. Their concept is kind of, saving planet from food waste and at the same time giving you the access to foods that might go bad from local restaurants and cafes. And yeah, that always sounded great to me. I think that a part of me was always super excited about the part of the system where you don't quite know what you're getting. So let me just say, maybe not the best thing to use for saving money if you have any allergies or any sort of food intolerances. But if you are an omnivore like me, this is a very fun way of feeling like you're saving the planet. For this video, I actually did try this app for the first time ever, and we're actually gonna cut away to us trying that now. So I have been trying to get a Too Good To Go bag for about 4 days straight, and they always canceled on me. So earlier today I put down 2 orders for Costa and for Starbucks. The Costa one was £3, Starbucks one was £3.50, and surprise, surprise, this was the first day when they were both fine, like they both approved and I got to pick them up. So now I have a lot of food for a very good price, but yeah, a lot of food. Anyway, I thought that we would go through the stuff together. I don't know what's in them. I can say that the Starbucks one is heavier than the Costa one. Also, the Costa one kind of came apart because I was carrying it in the rain. So here you go. So for £3 from the Costa, ooh, you get this. Tomato and mozzarella pasta salad pot. There are 2 crispy chocolate stars, and they tell you what allergens are in them too. And they also ask you when you pick it up. So there's 2 of these. They seem to be made out of like chocolate crispies, but they are very pretty. I'm gonna take a detail later. And the last thing is a panini, which is a bit inconvenient if you don't have a panini press. I mean, I think we do have like an extra thing for one of those sandwich grills. So in theory we could make this as a panini. Oh, sorry, a panino. Anyway, if you're Italian or if you're fluent in Italian, let me know if this should actually be a panino, or maybe like a half of it is a panino and when you put 2 paninos together they are panini. Anywho, pigs under blankets with pork, sage and onion stuffing and cranberry sauce. Now, as I said, the Starbucks one seems to be a bit heftier. Also, it didn't fall apart, but it definitely would eventually, so. Ooh. Sorry, this is very exciting, because macaroni cheese with kale and peas, which originally was 50% off and now it ended up in our bagoo. There's one. Nice. I'm imagining that this can be put in a microwave. Looks pretty good. A Beyond Meat breakfast sandwich. So that's a vegan sandwich. So that's interesting. I don't think that if you are straight up vegan, I'm not sure if you can just tell them it's Too Good To Go. I think that that would kind of limit what you can get quite considerably. But I think that if you're like an omnivore and you quite like trying vegan alternatives, I've never had anything from Beyond Meat. So this might be an interesting thing to maybe bite into tomorrow breakfast. A bag with what I imagine are treats, 2 bags. Oh, so there's one that's some sort of lemon loaf. Ooh, that actually tastes tray moist. Does the French make it less or more disgusting? And some sort of Christmassy, either beetroot or just straight up red velvet cake with these like Christmassy sprinkles. Cool, so that was $3.50 for 2 cakes and like 2 light meals. That's good. That's kind of like, you know, a kind of like a surprise lunch deal, I guess. So as you can see, the goodie bags did deliver good value. We really enjoyed all of the food. We kind of had it mostly for our next day lunch, and we didn't get poisoned or anything. You know, don't be too precious about your insides. Like, you're full of acid. Your inside acid can deal with some food that Starbucks thought should be eaten yesterday. You're fine. And obviously we chose kind of like big chainy places, but there's a lot of local establishments. For example, in Edinburgh you have Bar Burrito, one of our local Mexican eateries, where you can come, I think, at around 10:30. So if you're like a late diner, that might be a great way of saving on a dinner. For us that doesn't really work because, you know, we eat at like 6 p.m. because we are senior citizens. So we didn't try that. But the coffee shop goodie bag really worked for us. A similar app to that would be Olio, which I think is mostly built on the concept of actually giving the stuff away for free. And you don't have to be a restaurant to give away the stuff for free to your neighbors. You can actually be a regular human like me. You can look into your cupboard and just think, oh, I got like too much rice, I don't need this, or like I got this as a present, and you can give it away to one of your neighbors, someone local who might need it more. That's a nice kind of neighborly social thing. I did download the app and I noticed that now you can also borrow stuff from there. So for example, if you need to borrow some tools, something like that, you can check out Olio as well. Speaking of borrowing tools, there's a place called the Edinburgh Tool Library, and I checked them out too because I kind of went on a whole kind of Google journey as I was researching this video. And yeah, they are based in Leith, and they do have a really wide inventory of like things you might need to fix your house, your garden, your car. So you can just like, you know, go online and see what the availability of those items is. And yeah, just like pop down to Leith and borrow it and fix your stuff. And you don't have to invest into any like power tools yourself, which is great. I think that sort of like borrowing economy is the way forward. Number 2, rail cards. So a rail card is something that I personally never had because, to be honest, I haven't done all that much travel by rail. After doing some deep dive research on rail cards, I now feel very stupid because it truly is a very convenient thing to have. As a rail card holder, you usually get like a third off on all train tickets that are off-peak. So obviously if you're getting one and you are using trains to commute to work, something like that, it might not actually work that great for you. But I think that for most of us, especially nowadays, like nobody actually commutes. Personally, I am now outside of all the like young person categories. There is basically a rail card for students, which does cover mature students as well. So you can be older than 24. If you're a full-time student, you can get that one. Then you have like a young person one, which is like 24 to 30. And then once you are over 30, like us, you don't really get like a proper individual rail card. However, you can get a 2 together rail card, which is basically for people who always travel together. So that might be like your best buddy or your partner or your husband, something like that, which makes perfect sense because I think that most of us do travel with like one designated person the most. So to give you an example, if Simon and I had this rail card, which would cost both of us together £30 per year, we could use that to get cheaper tickets to London, which, you know, for 2 people, second class to London from Edinburgh would be maybe like 120 quid. So this would take us to what, like 90 quid, and that would already, maybe even less than that, maybe like 80. It would be like, yeah, like 80 quid from, that's 30%, right? 33%. Math, beautiful mind. Anyway, yes, that would take us to, let's say, £85, and that already basically paid back for that rail card. So if we then do another trip in the same year, then we're saving money. Yay! Okay, now it's time to talk about our sponsor today, which, as mentioned before, is Wise. And I'm super excited to have them specifically as my sponsor because First of all, I do use them. I was recommended them in the past by my accountant, who wasn't quite happy with all the fees that my normal regular bank was charging me for all the, money that was coming into my account from abroad. And it is kind of like a bonus money saving tip. So Wise is an international account for over 50 different currencies, and you can get super cheap money transfer, a card to spend with in any currency, you get your own bank details in like 30 different countries, you can get multi-currency direct debits and other great stuff. And I think what makes it so great for this specific video is that Wise is on average 7 times cheaper than an old school bank. So the main 4 things that you can do with your Wise account is that you can send money to over 80 countries, and all the costs for that are shown up front, which again, when I was doing this with my regular bank, that just wouldn't happen. So we just had to do kind of like guess it. That was great for doing my accounting. You can also hold over 50 different currencies in your account, and you can convert between them instantly. Again, this is something that I do every month when I get paid from different countries, and it works super smoothly, super great. You can get paid from abroad for free with local bank details of major currencies. So for example, if I need to get paid in dollars, which happens pretty often, I tell people the bank details for my dollar account and all the money comes in there. And of course, as you can imagine, this is a super practical thing to have on you while you're traveling as well, because you can pay with your Wise debit card in the local currency. So you're dodging some of those fees there as well. And just so you know, Wise is not a bank, it's an international multi-currency account, and the Wise card is not a credit card, it's just a multi-currency debit card. If you're interested in getting your Wise account, please follow a link in the doobly-doo. It would obviously help me if Wise knew that you guys are interested in the service, but again, I can only recommend them. I have been using them for years and I love them. Okay. Now back to the tips. Okay, so next up is memberships for local charities and government agencies that take care of historical sites in Scotland. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is that if you do have these memberships, you usually get quite a lot of free entries. And if you watch my videos often, you know that I just will never stop complaining about how going to Edinburgh Castle is so expensive. It costs £17, I think, or is it 25? It's quite expensive, and a lot of the big sites here in Edinburgh do cost around that much, so it's great to find a way of saving on those. Okay, so I actually did some math, so I'm gonna bring my computer in so I can tell you the math. With Historic Scotland, if you're under 24, which some of you probably are if you're coming here to study or something like that, if you're under 24, you pay £33, which is not a bad price if you realize that for that £33 for a year, if you go to Edinburgh Castle, which saves you £16, then Craigmillar Castle for £6, and then Linlithgow Palace for another £7.50, you've basically paid all of that back, all of those £33 that you paid in the first place. And you can do these 3 quite relaxedly in 1 week. And after that, you still have the remaining part of the year to still enjoy your membership and do all of those great things in Scotland for free. Yay! National Trust for Scotland works very similarly. Again, you get your membership and then you get all your free entrances. You also often get free parking, things like that. For example, if you're a family, then maybe that one might be better for you than the historical one, because you only need that one membership to park that one car, but you can bring, 5 kids over to one of those amazing gardens around Edinburgh, places like that. The 2 don't really overlap, so in theory you could be a member of both. If you're a really hardcore fan of Scottish historical sites, you could buy both and then just do all the things for free. All of them. Both of these memberships are about £60 to £70 per year for an adult, a non-studenty adult. But again, I still think that's a great value. I think that that is something that's going to return to you within the first 2 months of very casually exploring Scotland. And as a matter of fact, I did put it on my Christmas wish list. I really hope that we're gonna get one of these memberships, or technically 2 of these memberships, because I want Simon to come with me. And if we do, then obviously we will be taking you with us. The next category is gonna be restaurant hacks. And I have 3 different ones for you. The first one is soft openings. So this often happens when you have like a restaurant which has a couple of places in London and they decide to expand into Scotland. You quite often see that on Instagram they will say, okay, we're opening on this date, but the week before, sometimes it's a weekend, sometimes it's a week, the week before, that's our like soft opening time. And you can book a table for that period of time and you usually get around 50% off, which honestly for restaurants that come up from London is usually quite a lot of money. And I think that it often covers drinks as well. So Simon and I, we did that at least once. I remember we went to Tattoo, which is kind of like a pan-Asian, quite an interesting like a fusion restaurant next to St Andrew Square. But recently the Vietnamese place called Pho expanded from London into Edinburgh. They are now in the St James Quarter, and I did miss the booking because I think that they had some sort of bug on the website. Yes, I'm gonna blame them, not myself, for forgetting and getting distracted by something else. My friend did go though, not jealous at all, and said it was amazing. So I think that if you're active on Instagram, you will inevitably run into one of those restaurants promoting their soft opening, but you might also see that in like one of the Facebook groups about Edinburgh restaurants. So yeah, just like keep your eyes peeled and you will inevitably run into one of those and save yourself 50%. Next up is lunch menus. This is kind of weird to me because, you know, I've been here for 10 years and I never really paid attention to it because I think that I've adopted the British culture of not really doing lunch pretty quickly. You know, people in Britain usually just like have a sandwich and like sit in the park for a bit or just, you know, get some sort of Boots meal deal. So that sort of very continental tradition of sitting down for an hour and a half and having a posh lunch in the middle of the day and then going back to work is not really a thing here, which leads to quite a nice discounted menu, which some restaurants have. In our area, that would specifically be the Palmerston, which if you know your way around local restaurants, you know that the Palmerston is actually kind of posh. It's not posh, it's casual, but it's also not cheap. Like it's that sort of place. Like it's supposed to be like casual, but very like high quality, locally sourced goods. Anyway, I'm gonna talk about that in a different video. For now, I'm just gonna say that their lunch menu is £16 for 2 courses, which basically is cheaper than one of their courses at dinner time. So if you're traveling to Edinburgh, if you're visiting Edinburgh and you have some sort of like cool restaurants on your list that you would love to try, I think that it's great to kind of look into if they do have good lunchtime deals, because like that's a great way of experiencing these like more upmarket places on a lower budget. And last hack is Meerkat meals, which if you are UK based, you know about already, like everyone knows about Meerkat meals. But if you're not familiar with Meerkat meals, then I'm gonna blow your mind, because this is a tip about how for £2 you can get yourself a whole year of 2-for-1 meals and free cinema tickets. And as a kind of a money anxious person, I always thought, yeah, that's just too good not to do. Again, why wouldn't you? Essentially, how this works is that the Compare the Market insurance comparing website has this like loyalty scheme. I don't even know if that it's kind of like a marketing ploy. Anyway, it's a really nice marketing tool they use, where if you get any sort of insurance through their website, which can literally be like a one-day trip from Edinburgh to Glasgow, which will cost you like £1.50 or £2. If you get that through their website, they will let you access this membership in Meerkat Meals, or like Meerkat Rewards. And there are like dozens of restaurants just in Edinburgh, but you know, hundreds around the country, where you can use this reward system, where on certain days you can come in and say, I've got Meerkat Meals, and basically as long as your other person you brought with you gets like the same meals, so like if you get a main and they get a main, and you get a dessert and they get a dessert, all of their meals are going to be free, which, you know, is just a great money saving tip, I think. Same goes for cinema tickets. This applies only to certain cinemas and only on certain days, but if you're flexible, then why wouldn't you get yourself some free cinema tickets? Another thing that I noticed fairly recently is that you can get a good deal on nail or hair appointments if you keep an eye on the salon's social media, because they will often do these shout-outs about doing like training slots. Specifically, I noticed that with Buff, which is a nail salon, a really nice looking nail salon down in the Arches next to Waverley Station, and they will often, you know, post stories on their Instagram about having training slots for, you know, like 30% of the usual price. So if you're someone who does get their nails done, as you can see, I am not that person, but if you do, maybe that's a good strategy. A little sub tip for this is try to look at itison.com, because it's basically one of those sites that work on that like a Groupon model, but Itison is actually the one that's the most specialized in Scotland. So on Itison you will find more specifically Scottish deals than you would find on Groupon. And with my last tip, I suspect some of you will call me out as like, well, Captain Obvious, but yeah, supermarkets at around certain times will pop those orange or yellow stickers on their food because it's kind of just going out of date, and you will be able to save quite a lot of money on those. I think that if you're flexible, I think that, for example, if you live alone and you don't have a specific thing you want to have for dinner, you just pop there, get yourself, you know, a dinner for like half price off. I think that's a great way of spending money if you don't really need to like plan your meals beforehand. Another smart way of taking advantage of that is to find like baked goods and putting them in the freezer. Honestly, having a good freezer is probably going to save you a lot of money if you're taking advantage of the yellow stickers. But to not make this tip super boring and obvious, we also went out and wanted to show you what these sticker discounts actually are like in Edinburgh. So yeah, let's have a look at those. And before I go, let me just remind you that the sponsor of this video was Wise. Thank you, Wise. If this video made you interested in Wise and its services, please follow the link in the doobly-doo. It is my personal link, so it will tell Wise that you trust me and you like to do the same money-saving things that I do. Alrighty. If you can think of any more money-saving tips, please leave them in the comment section for anyone who's watching this, because if they got all the way to this bit in the video, they will absolutely also go check out the comments, so maybe you will become comment famous. Is that a motivation for you? I don't know. You can tell me in the comments below as well. As always, you can also find me on Instagram under KakiBot and KakiBlog for my illustrations and merch design and my general life in Scotland. Yeah, visit me there. And I also have an Etsy shop, so if you want to support me financially by buying some of my merch, link in the doobly-doo again. Okay, thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. You're the best, and I will see you soon.